Household easy, we close fast and anytime that works for you. Your house don't need it, we'll throw cash, it hits so fast, don't know what to do. Wanted to care to keep it, no.
All right, this is it, guys. We're jumping right in. So part one of the BRRRR method, B with 4 R's. The B, it stands for buy. All right, so the first step in the BRRRR method is to get pre-qualified with a bank or a long-term lender before you do anything. So really, the method should be called PBRRRR. Nobody likes that name because it's not as sexy as BRRRR, but PBRRRR is really the entire process. Why? Well, because we don't want to buy a property, rehab it, get it rented, and then walk into a bank for that long-term lender, a bank or a credit union, and get stuck with a property that we are paying a high interest on in a short term and not be able to refi. So you actually want to work this process backwards from the beginning, meaning that you want to go make sure that you're going to be eligible and will qualify to refi. If you don't qualify for a refinance, my suggestion would be to turn that banker into a coach and say, well, Mr. or Mrs. Banker, what do I need to qualify? Is it my credit? Is it my debt to income? What is it that you need? Focus on those things. And then once you get pre-approved or you're qualified, then you're gonna hit the ground running and you're gonna be able to go do this and you're gonna make it really easy. But the first part really is go get pre-qualified before you do anything, because the last thing I want you to do is jump in and get stuck. All right? So when it comes to buying property, all right, and we're using the BRRRR method, of course, we have a goal, and there's 2 simple ways to achieve this goal. What is the goal? The goal is to be all in for less than 75 or 80%, and the reason that's a scale and not a fixed number is because certain banks will lend at 80% in certain areas, others will lend at 75, maybe even 70%. It kind of depends on the bank's appetite, and the neighborhood, maybe even the value of the home. But for me, it's gonna be very similar for you, I promise. For me, the goal is to be all in for less than 75 to 80% of what it will appraise for after. That's the key word here, after the rehab is complete. So, there's 2 simple ways. What are they, you're thinking? Well, number 1, you have to buy property at a discount. If you don't buy property at a discount, it's gonna be very difficult to rehab your way into 25 or 30% equity, or 20 to 25% in this scenario. Regardless, it's 20+%. Think of it that way. 20% minimum. All right, so buying at a discount, sometimes I can buy at a big enough discount where I don't even need to rehab. I'm already in at 80%, right? But the second way is going to be to increase its value by rehabbing. So by buying at a discount is part 1, by rehabbing is part 2. Those 2 strategies, those 2 simple techniques that we are going to use are what are going to allow us, let's go back a slide, to be all in for less than 75 to 80% of what it appraises for after the rehab is complete. 2 ways. Don't overcomplicate this. It's literally that simple. Buy at a discount, rehab the property. You're gonna buy at a discount, it's gonna build in equity from the get-go. Rehabbing it is going to increase that equity even more. So ideally, for every $2 I spend on my rehab, I wanna increase the value. That's actually backwards. For every $1 I spend, I wanna increase the value by 2. So if I spend $20,000 on a rehab, I would anticipate my value in that deal to go up by 30. Well, I just spent 20, so I didn't create 30,000, but I've increased my value by that 20 at a minimum, and I've increased it an additional 10,000. So for every $1 you spend, you essentially wanna increase, well, no, that is right. For every $2, you wanna increase by 1 more. So every $2 is gonna turn into 3. So, but to keep it simple, you wanna buy a discount and you wanna rehab it. So the goal, again, be all in for less than 75 to 80% of what it's going to appraise for. And this is after the rehab is complete. So the plan, buy property at a discount and then rehab and update it, which will increase its value even more. And then last but not least, we're gonna go get it appraised. And if you hit your goal, you can acquire it with little to none, which is what I shoot for, of your own money on every single deal. So, buying property, guys, what to buy, where to find deals, how to find deals, off market versus on market. Where do I go to get the money to buy them? I'm gonna break down each of these questions in the next 5 or 6 slides. Each slide's gonna basically correlate to each of these questions. Now, this today is not a boot camp or mastermind or seminar on buying property. It's a seminar on BRRRRing deals, using the BRRRR method to create wealth, find financial freedom, and quit your job. That's really what this is all about. So I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on buying properties, and if you are already using REI Black Book, you have a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of tools to use to help buy these properties and ideally buy them at a discount. All right, so we're gonna go through this relatively quickly, but again, there's gonna be a lot of value here. So before we do anything, we wanna define our buy box. We don't wanna just go buy anything that we come across. We are looking for distressed properties. We are looking for discounts. Very, very important. But that doesn't mean we're gonna just go buy anything. So you wanna know what your buy box is. So that means you wanna know the number of bedrooms and baths you're shooting for. You're gonna have an anticipated amount of rent. You may have a certain square footage or type of property you're looking for. You may want properties with garages and or basements or certain amenities. And you may avoid and or be looking for certain neighborhoods and certain school districts. So you want to define that buy box before you start buying properties. How to find deals? Well, you can find deals with wholesalers, you can find deals with local agents, you can network and you can get referrals, or my personal favorite, the best way, learn to market directly to motivated sellers yourself and cut out the middleman. Who's the middleman? Well, it's typically an agent or a wholesaler. And there's nothing wrong with paying agents or wholesalers. And I'm not referring to paying agents for on-market deals, by the way. I'm referring to paying agents for off-market pocket listing deals. All right, nothing wrong with that. If you have a job and you want to do this method part-time, that's great. That's possible. In fact, it's very, very simple to do so. And that may mean you don't have a ton of extra time to go learn the marketing and get good at that. And that's okay. You can still find deals via wholesalers, via local agents, obviously networking within your own network and referrals. But if you do have time, I would highly suggest you learn, and I would highly recommend that you take this route, the best way, learn to find these markets or find these deals direct, meaning you want to do direct marketing. What does that look like? Driving for dollars, bandit signs, direct mail, cold calling, cold SMS, door knocking, websites and website SEO, landing pages, pay-per-click, billboards, radio, vacants or absentee lists. And there's other lists you can get from other places like PropStream as well, right? There's lots of different things you can do. I know REI Black Book has a Driving for Dollars app, and they have a phone system. It's all in one, so it's gonna help you guys do all of these things. So learn how to direct market. Again, this is not gonna be a deep dive into finding deals. This is a deep dive into the method that we're using to acquire lots of assets with none of our own money or little to none of our own money. So that's how I typically find 90% of my deals right there. There's no secret to it. All of these methods work. It's just, are you working the method? If you are doing some of these things and you are not having success, it's because you are not consistent enough, period. You can't argue with me on that. It's because you aren't consistent enough. If you do these things and you do them long enough, you will stumble into a deal. It's almost impossible not to. You just got to be consistent. All right, off market versus on market. Why does this matter? I told you guys earlier, the first 10 years that I was doing this, I did it wrong. Well, now I don't do it wrong, I do it right. And the reason is because I was buying deals on market. I wasn't getting deals. I was putting money into deals to buy them. Now I'm putting equity into deals to buy them, meaning I don't have to come out of pocket. So what are the pros and cons here, right? Well, on market, they're not typically very motivated. It's a timely process to purchase. You have a bunch of costs with an agent. You're gonna need proof of funds. You're looking for basically a retail value or price point. And it's gonna be really hard to find a discount whenever you're dealing with on market. When you go to off market, you're gonna typically have a very motivated individual. Why? Because they aren't listing it with an agent. They essentially don't want to deal with that. So they're going to be a lot more motivated to give you a better price. It's going to be a much faster process. No agent costs, no proof of funds are going to be needed. The seller's looking for convenience typically when they're dealing with off market. They're not looking for the most amount of money. All right, when they're on market, they're typically looking for the absolute highest number they can get. Well, with off market, the highest number they can get is typically very low on their wish list. Instead, it's how do I get rid of this thing? How do I get somebody to buy it as is? How do I get somebody to pay cash for it? How do I get somebody to close fast? And that's what we do as investors. We offer convenience in exchange for a discount. That's it. That's it. Like lesson number one. What do investors do and how do they provide value? They offer convenience in exchange for a discount. It's that simple. Don't overthink it. All right, how to make offers, right? Well, making offers is going to be easy. Don't overthink it. At the end of the day, we are looking for properties that are distressed that we can buy at deep discounts, right? That discount ends up being about 50% of the after repair value when it's all said and done. All right, I actually have a free giveaway for everybody watching here too. If you go to cashoffercontract.com, you can actually create offers in less than 3 minutes and they'll email them to you for free. It's a tool that my team and my business uses every day. And in fact, that contract that we're giving away here today, we've used to personally buy over 5, maybe even 600 properties. Don't overthink it, keep it simple. All right, so the MAO formula. Now you'll notice in this last slide that at the end of the day, I'm typically buying a property at about 50% of the ARV. So we're going to jump into that. I know there's people thinking, well, man, that's crazy, Dave. How are you doing that? Well, I've done that 700 times in the last 7 years. So if you're sitting here thinking, well, I can't do what this guy's doing. I'm doing 100 of these a year. You can do 10. You can do 5. You can do 2 or 3. It's not that hard, all right? So we're going to use a formula to make offers. It's very simple. It's called the MAO formula, which stands for the max allowable offer. So basically, we're going to solve for MAO in order to determine what we're going to make an offer at. So we start by figuring out what this property is going to be worth when it's all said and done. All right? The ARV is the after repair value. Then we're going to multiply that by, let's say 75%. And that 75% is a sliding scale. It could be 70%, it could be 80%, it could maybe even be 60%. But then what we're going to do is we're going to take our repairs off of that number. All right? So if you think 75% discount, that's already 25%, right? That's coming off the top. And then if I take my repairs off, that's usually another 20 to 25%, which ends up putting me somewhere around 50% of the ARV. It's not 50% of the current value, it's 50% of the ARV. Don't overthink this formula, guys. Again, this is not a deep dive on marketing or making offers, but it does matter that you know how to make these offers. So we're going to use the MAO formula to do so. So how do we fund deals? This is kind of back to the leverage question, right? We fund deals by 2 simple ways. We use private money lenders, which typically are going to be between 6 and 12%. And for those that aren't aware, a private money lender is just a private agreement between you and another individual. It's just another lender. It could be your grandma, it could be a buddy of yours, it could be a guy that you do business with, and he or she just lends you money. It's a private peer-to-peer transaction. It's going to be 6 to 12%. I typically pay between 10 and 12% to my lenders because I want them to keep lending to me. So I don't really have any reason to lower their interest rate because then they're going to look to deploy that capital elsewhere, and I want them to put that capital into me. So I'm happy to pay 10 to 12% to my private lenders. Now, hard money lenders are a little different. Those are typically entities or businesses that have been built and created to lend money. That's their number one goal, is to go out and lend money in the marketplace to individuals like me, investors like you. Hard money lenders are going to typically be somewhere between 12, maybe even as high as 18%. But please don't get it wrong. Hard money is not hard to get. The reason it's called hard money is because it's a lender that's lending based on a hard asset. So again, if I don't pay that lender, they have something they can come take from me. It's not like I'm walking into a hard money lender and saying, hey, I want to start this business. I got nothing to show for it. No, it's like, hey, I want to buy that house and I want to fix it up. and I can get a good deal on it, will you lend me the money to buy it and to fix it up? And if so, I'll happily pay you 12 to 15, maybe even 18%. Again, don't let these high percentages throw you off, because I'm only typically borrowing money for 3 to 6 months. So who cares if you're paying 12, 15, maybe even 18% for 3 or 4 or 5 months? Who cares? Who cares? Without that money, you can't do it. You can't buy it. You can't rehab it. None of it matters if you can't get the money. So don't let the high interest rates stop you. It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I love paying interest to my lenders, because that means they want to keep lending me money. So that's how we fund deals on the front side, on the buy side. We use a private money lender or we use a hard money lender. All right, so action items. Let's just take a minute here to grab a coffee or a water, take a little short break here. Start marketing to find deals. That's the first thing you want to do if you want to do the BRRRR method, guys. Start marketing to find deals. Get on wholesalers' buyers lists. Hopefully you learn the marketing or you're already doing the marketing. But if you aren't and you want to do this passively, let's say you have a full-time job and you don't have time to do the marketing, get on the other wholesalers' buyers list. Start networking with agents, which is the next one. Network with agents, network with investors, network with wholesalers, network with attorneys, network with property managers, network with professionals. And don't forget those contractors. These are the people that are going to help you find deals. Stop keeping your business a secret. This is one of my favorite things. People will get into business and they won't even tell their friends or family that they're doing a business. Do you think that's a smart approach, guys? I want to go start a business, buying houses, fixing them up, being a landlord, doing like David Dodge and do the BRRRR method. But I'm not going to tell my friends or family that I'm doing that? How dumb can you be? Don't keep your business a secret. You need to be shouting from the rooftops what your business is. And my business is buying houses at a discount. That's where it all starts. Without buying a house at a discount, I can't do anything. I'm stuck. So I want to let everybody know, my friends, my family. I want my friends of my friends knowing who I am and that I buy houses, because it's going to give me free leads. And then last but not least, build your plan. What is your freedom number? Figure that out. Work it backwards. If we can get $300 a month cash flow on average for an asset, then we need to basically figure out how much we need a month to live and replace our job, divide that by $300 a month, and that is your freedom number, or that is the number of assets you're going to need. Build your plan. One of my favorite quotes of all time, a goal without a plan is a dream. Let that resonate for a second. A goal without a plan is a dream. Put together a plan. It's not that hard, all right? It's very, very simple, but you got to do it. You got to write down your goals, and then you need to write down a plan to execute on those goals. So really, that's part one, guys, buying properties. You want to buy at a discount. You want to use a hard money lender or a private money lender to get into these deals. You want to borrow the purchase price. You want to borrow the rehab. Maybe even an extra 3 to 5, maybe even 10,000 to cover your transactional costs with your title company and your utilities and your holding costs. I don't use any of my own money. I'm borrowing purchase, I'm borrowing rehab. I'm typically borrowing an additional 5 to 10,000, so I don't have to come out of pocket for those 3 or 4 or 5 months while I'm doing this process. I want to use everybody else's money and none of my own. So there, my friends, is a quick rundown on buying. Lots of ways to do it. My personal favorite is direct to seller marketing, but you don't have to go do that if you don't have the time or money. You can always network with agents, get on wholesalers, buyers lists, so on and so forth.
House so easy, we close fast, and anytime that works for you. Your house don't need it, we'll throw cash, it hits so fast, don't know what to do. Wanted her care to keep